I think now it's time for me to complete this and turn this over to Chuck Kinsicki.
Thank you, Dave. We can move forward with a case study of how we worked with Colorado State University. I was the project manager from the R Smart side, so I'll try to walk you through some of what we did. Colorado State, as we mentioned, was an FRS school. They ran FRS and IBM mainframe. So we were challenged with the concept of how to take their legacy data out of the FRS system and move it over to Kuali. Well, unlike FRS, Kuali only has a GL. It does not have the subledger. So we were instantly, had the issue of how do we take something where the concept needs to get from a further breakdown with having a subsidiary ledger and a general ledger and move it into a system that has everything in one ledger, which is the GL. So we pretty much knew the relationship in FRS by the map code and knew that every SL was really pretty much a subsidiary of what the GL for the nominal accounts, and we figured out a way to be able to write scripts to map that over into one GL account or multiple GL accounts based on how we needed to handle it, working with each institution. In this case, it was Colorado State. Some of CSU's business requirements was they needed a cost-effective replacement to FRS. They needed enhanced capability over FRS. They needed designed strictly to higher education with workflow capability. They needed efficient commercial implementation assistance. And they needed commercial support to complement the staff, along with the ability to evaluate solutions using CSU data and elements. And I think that the last bullet is really important to understand. I think that's to everybody, no matter if you're an FRS school or not, you want to see the ability to be able to evaluate KFS using data that is meaningful to yourself. CSU chose R Smart for the proof of concept because of our expertise in both FRS and KFS. They were looking for a low-cost and low-risk way to evaluate KFS to determine the fit and to help predefine implementation scope. And I think this is important also in the fact that this is a little bit of a deviation from what we're used to doing in the past with normal software that was commercial software, where you put a lot of your cost and effort into either your RFIs, your RFQs, and then resulting in an RFP. In this case, you have the ability to really download the software, work with a vendor like R Smart to be able to really come up with a solution that will fit your needs and understand the system before you make that final decision to implement. And that's really what I think our Smart's proof of concepts allows you to do. We allow data migration and configuration assistance provided by KFX experts. We provided time to engage a wider audience of stakeholders. So as you needed to deal with some of the people, the buy-in on a campus, get the people interested across the various divisions or areas that are important, you can. We provide a low-cost exposure to prove out the quality fit. And we really see this more as a fit analysis. Now, there's other institutions experience success with the PLC. Again, Dave mentioned some of the ones that earlier that are not only FRS schools, but all the way from FRS, we have, of course, the ones that were listed earlier, the Colorado State, University of Hawaii, University of Arizona, University of Connecticut, and I'm sure there'll be many more joining us in the future. And there's non-FRS schools where, again, this same type of similar approach has proven to be very, very valuable. San Joaquin Delta is another school that's going live in July and has taken a very similar approach with us. Some of the challenges uncovered in the proof of concept: merging of GL and SL accounts into one KFS account, as I mentioned earlier, duplicate account controls and subcodes numbers between the GL and SL. Again, that really is specific to an FRS school will understand that. We had to clean up the vendor file, and that's generic in the fact that I think most universities we work with, their vendor file probably needs to be cleaned up prior to moving to a new system. And then prorate journal entries to KFS prorates, getting a functionality that was we found as a gap, moving that into KFS and developing that there. Our Smart took that on along with 1099 and check recon. Some of the things that happen is the account detail. This is actually taken right from KFS, some of the things we moved over. As you can see where it came from in the FRS. We went to the data element dictionary or the database definition in FRS. Some people refer to the DBD, old theory. And we took those standard reports, those standard tables, and we knew where to get them from, and we basically started looking at how we would map over data from FRS to KFS, working with the schools, making sure that we came up with a logic that would fit their requirements as they move forward, and started moving over various elements, and you can see the element numbers on the right-hand side. The FGs are from the DVD that shows the FG040 and FS040 for the subledger, and the org unit, pretty much figuring out how to break down that 11-digit org unit in FRS to a 4-digit org unit with levels in KFS, and most of the time we were able to pretty much easily figure that out. Again, looking at some of the capabilities that were one-for-one, sometimes they were a little different, but bringing over and populating those elements quickly so that somebody could start relating to the data. That's the bottom line. And you can see the fund code where it came from. You can see the Nakubo expense codes. And again, some schools don't always use FRS even the same way, so it takes some analysis, but again, it's all doable, and it really ends up to be very meaningful. You can see any account responsibility in KFS. You can see where we got it from. Again, we went to the data element dictionary and pulled out the two different values based on their values, and we're easily able to populate those in to KFS. And then the elements that don't fall within a logical mapping, we have other spreadsheets that you can fill out, and we work with you to be able to get you the data that is meaningful to make sure that KFS functionality is understandable. Some of the guidelines, purpose account description, again, we got those through looking at the same types of reports, moving over the FRS long description, moving over the mapping code. And again, some of what this does too is gives you a way when you get along the path of what Colorado State did, is all the way moving to production, which are going live in another couple of weeks here, July 1st. It gives them a reference back to look at the legacy data in some areas by populating what we did, so that you could see data, even though it may not have the same function or purpose. It's a nice cross-reference to be able to map back to your legacy system as you transition to the new system into production. Here's a sample of the XDL30 report. You can see the various values, the elements, and again, if you've been on FRS for a while, you're probably very familiar with this report and understand that it's a standard report that comes in there. Again, knowing how to get to it, knowing how to get that data there from FRS to KFS is key to helping make this transition easy, and that's what our Smart brings, that type of expertise to the table. Here's where the org unit division was. We went through, we looked at the levels, we pulled out the levels, knowing that there's a little difference the way FRS handled versus KFS, but helping you get to that transition and making it work for you. You can see there's a division school and cost center. So the lessons learned at CSU. The proof of concept provided was an effective way to evaluate KFS and help identifying implementation scope. The proof of concept did help secure stakeholder buy-in with